Welcome to the Fermented Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Anna, and on this channel, I'm sharing our journey of learning how to turn our home into a homestead. Welcome to the weekly gardening vlog. Today, I'm kind of just going to do a bit of a tour. It's been a couple weeks since I showed you guys around, and there have been a lot of changes, so I wanted to show you guys what's what. So, we're going to start right here. Echinacea, these ones are doing really well. I don't know if they're going to flower this year. I don't know if they do that. I think they flower the second year, but I could totally be wrong. And then all the poppies have started to pop. These things, they're starting to come up and do their thing. We've had a few of them flower, as you can see down here on the ground. And then they've turned into these little poppy pods. So I thought that was kind of cool. They start out like this, and then they open and they flower. And then they let their petals down very quickly. They only bloom for like a day or two. And then they just turn into the poppy pods. And then we also have all of our volunteer tomatillos doing great. Putting on a bunch of flowers. Don't have any fruit yet. There might be some little bittles that I haven't noticed, but I think I haven't seen any fruit yet. And then over here, we have our fennel is growing massively tall. This thing's probably 6 feet tall, I think. Because you have to remember these are in these beds, 1.5 foot tall beds. And, you know, this is my height right here. So, I mean, it's got to be at least 6 feet, probably more. The lettuce, totally gone to seed. I'm probably going to save this seed because this plant did really, really well. My husband really enjoyed it and he's eaten off of it. We have this volunteer tomato. Not a slightest clue what it's going to be. Based on its location, I'd guess it's going to be a cherry tree, or cherry tomato. But it's just, wow. And then these ones are finally starting to go and latch on to this trellis. They're growing out of this little pot here, or these pots. And then this one is, what was this? Verbena. These are very pretty. They're just starting to flower. And then this side of the trellis is going crazy, going up it. And then inside is, I don't remember what kind of tomato it was, but it looks like it's getting some blossom end rot. Just a little bit, nothing crazy. But it's like a jungle in there. There's so many. And the beans are just going back and forth from the different trellises like it's nothing. And then this is kind of our kind of battered and torn up, you know, winter type leaves. A lot of kale and collards, things like that. Various different kinds. And then this is another, I planted 2 in the middle here. I can't remember what kind it was. I want to say it was a Zoichka, but I could totally be wrong. It might be Ukrainian, but I think it's in Zoichka. And then this bed, for whatever reason, is going crazy. It's doing amazing. It's just kales, collards, stuff like that, but doing great. This one, obviously, not quite so much. Gonna have to pull that, but for the most part, these are just doing great. Kale, collards, that's about it. And then our tomatoes are just... We have our first changing. They're starting to change color. There's our first one. So exciting. What is this one? This one is Quadro tomato. I thought they were supposed to be a lot bigger than that. But whatever. I'll take it. They're starting to change colors. It's the first one. And we've harvested a ton of these beans. In between each of the tomatoes, there's a bunch of bush beans planted. And I've already had 2 big harvests. I think I've harvested probably about 15 pounds worth so far. And they're just starting to flop over. And some of these tomatoes are starting to get kind of chewed on by something. I'm not sure what. But, yeah. And it's still got some beans growing. I mean, we just have a ton of fruit set all over these tomatoes. Oops, getting some spiders going on there. So this first row here, whoa, hair's kind of crazy. And got spiders in it. Ew. This first entire row here on both sides is sauce tomatoes, various different kinds. I tried to kind of group them together, like they're, you know, the quadro over there, that's where the quadros are. And then, you know, what's this on here? Black from Tula. And then this one, triple crop. these are just doing great. And then here in between we have Sacatos sweet melons. We got 3 of them planted there. Then on this side is Kiku chrysanthemum. I think it's just not getting quite as much sun as it could be getting here. And then, oh, I forgot on the other side, loofah is up to about here. It's growing up. 3 of them planted over there. And, oh my goodness. This is a big guy. Uh-oh, I feel it might be getting some blossom end rot. I think the Tums is just taking a little while to kick in. But it's so, I mean, look at these tomatoes. So exciting. Oh my gosh. They're everywhere. And look at the majesticness of this arch here. How amazing. Beans are starting to take off here. I can't remember. I think these are Kentucky pole beans. I could be wrong, but I think that's what I planted here. Whatever it is, this arch completely, it goes all the way around here, and that arch over there are the same one, the same variety. So, but I just can't even get over. Oh man, more blossom end rot. I need to do another dose of calcium. I think I'm going to do that probably tonight. And there's some other types that I'd like to get of the calcium, but for now, this is the original big beefy one that I'm really watching out for. And then this one's pretty cat-faced and funky, but this is Abe Lincoln. And it's just doing great. Another volunteer tomatillo just in the ground here, not even in the bed. So, just doing great. I came through here, I think it was last week, it might have been the week before, and trellised all these up, and I think it's getting to be time. You can see that the trellised here, but it goes up pretty farther, so I think I need to come through and do another round. And then all of our cabbage patch here is just doing great. There's a couple in here that I could absolutely harvest, but I'm going to let it keep going just a little bit longer. Because I'm so excited. I'm going to make sauerkraut from the first cabbage that I've grown, and I'm so excited about it. This one's just beautiful. I've loved this thing since like the very start. I mean, these leaves are just bohemian. Okay, and then over here we have our surprise Brussels sprouts. Such a surprise I can't even remember the name. Surprise Brussels sprouts. I don't know if you can see in there, but there's some Brussels sprouts in there. And these ones are just doing great. They are getting eaten by like a mystery something. I've gone out here multiple times. I've tried to catch whatever is on here. I mean, you would think it would be a cabbage moth, but I can't find them anywhere. And it is driving me crazy. And trust me, I have tried. You can see like it's missing the whole top of this leaf here. Like, I've looked through high and low, day and night. I've come out here with a night flashlight, like anything I can think of, a blue light flashlight rather, everything that I can possibly think of, and I cannot get this thing. Oh, you got a spider all over you. I cannot get it. I can't find whatever's eating these things. But it's not to the point that it is damaging the plant, so I'm not going to stress about it a whole lot. Okay, so then show you guys going down this row here. I mean, how beautiful is that? Like, just look at that. It's just gorgeous. So, you can see, you know, it's definitely time to water. I do have, these beds are filled hugelkultur style. They're filled at least halfway with lots of rotted wood, fresh wood, and just various stages of wood all over the place. So, I really don't have to water tremendously in here, but obviously I still do need to water in. Today's the day. So, I'm going to do that when we're done. I think that might be contributing to so much of the blossom end rot that I'm finding today. Like this one. It was crazy cat-faced anyways. Ugh. I have a lot of cat-faced plants. I'm not sure why. Do you guys know what causes a lot of cat-facing in the tomatoes? These are all heirloom tomatoes, and a lot of them are cat-faced. It's kind of bizarre. Is there something that I'm doing or something that I can do to prevent it other than plucking the fruit? Like, what's going on? Why are these so cat-faced? Okay, so, I mean, look at it, beautiful. Oh my gosh, there's so much fruit. I cannot even stand it. And then over here, these are the Kajari melons. These things are just not growing, and I think it's because it's being blocked by the light. So, Lesson learned for next year. I need to make sure that I get the melons in the ground lots sooner than the tomatoes, so they have a chance to get up these trellises before the tomatoes come and overshadow them. So down here, or up here, I guess you would call it, I don't think I'm going to get a whole lot of melons from this particular arched trellis. I might end up throwing in some beans to grow up here, and so they will go a little bit longer than I believe the tomatoes will. So I mean, I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. It might just end up being a sucky trellis. So this side of this whole bed here, from here down, is slicers, and then this bed here is cherry tomatoes. As you can see, it is just wow. These are the potatoes. I think they're just ready to harvest. Robert was thinking that something's trampling them down, but I think they're just like the plants are dying and they're getting ready to be harvested. That's my opinion. All right, and these are the tomatoes that we just ended up throwing in the ground in a spot where it was planted with seed. We planted these where the seed potatoes were, the potato seeds rather. They were actually the seeds. Like when the flower goes, it'll turn into a pod, and then you can harvest the pod, and it's actually a bunch of seeds inside, and it just has a really terrible germination rate. It's better to do the actual potatoes. And then this side is more cherry tomatoes. These are a different kind of Bosque Blue Bumblebee cherry. So this one I think is going to be ready first, but it's not ready. And we just have a bunch of cherry tomatoes, so yay. Nothing ready yet. This one I transplanted. I don't know if it's going to work. It broke off of one from over there, and I moved it over here into a spot where it was dead, or where one had died. So it's not dead yet, so we'll see what happens. It looks like it's dying. It looks like something that I plucked, but it was been here for 2 weeks. So I mean, it's got to be doing something under there. And then, one thing that's really exciting. My husband has been keeping track and caring for this Carolina Reaper for 3 years now, and he's just been bringing it in and overwintering it. And this year he got, I think he said 92 or 96 of these Carolina Reapers off of them. And I thought that was pretty amazing. There's still some left in there, but they're not super hot. So I don't know. Maybe that's just my tolerance, but I ate one and it was fine. So I don't think they're real Carolina Reapers, but they're still tasty. And for most people, I would say it probably has a good level of kick, but just not for me. And then this is the Baker's Creek side of the Armenian yardlings. So, and then this is, I think it's the My Gardener side. I'm not sure, because this one was just planted significantly. I started these plants were started first, like right in the beginning, first garden season, like when I planted the peppers. But they had sustained some damage, and they looked like they were going to die, but I just never uprooted them, and I ended up saving them. So this is why I save seeds, and I make sure that like they are completely 100% dead before I actually throw them away, because this was one that was dead basically. So, and then this is our pepper bed. It is going gangbusters, and I think that I don't know what anything is. I do know that it is getting eaten by something. I think this is some kind of a sweet pepper, I would imagine. And there's some growing in here. I mean, this is exploded over the last week. Oh my gosh. It's just gone gangbusters. Like, wow. And this is Winnemalata? Yeah, Winnemalata. Let's harvest one. Let's give them lunch, shall we? These are Winnemalatas. So, they're not very hot. They're supposed to be super hot, but they're really not. I mean, it's not like they don't have any heat whatsoever, but I mean, I don't know if I just have a high tolerance or just my peppers just suck. But like, I can eat the whole thing, seeds and all. So, over here we have squash. These are all summer squash. I planted these behind the ones that are over there, which I'll show you here in a minute. And these ones are just round 2 of summer squash. They're doing great. We also have some more pepper tomatoes over here. We have, this one needs to be trimmed up here a little bit. We got some suckers. I trimmed these like 2 weeks ago, so I think it's time they're due. I don't know which order they're in, but we have a paste row, a sauce row, a slicer row, and a cherry pepper row. I know the last one is cherry pepper, but all right. What's this one? I don't know. I'm trying to find one I think is actually really hot. What's this guy? I think this is a Chinese 5-color. Yeah, I think it's a Chinese 5-color. This is a type. This is definitely a cayenne. So when that thing's red, I'll eat it for you guys. How about that? We'll see if it's really hot. But I think the cayenne, you want to wait until it's red. And this one, it says it's a shishito. I don't think that's a shishito. I think shishito is like more blunt-ended. So that's probably a cayenne as well. This one's, whoop, that was my foot. I don't know what this one is. Let's see what the tags are around it. Craig's Grande Jalapeno. That doesn't look like a jalapeno. Sugar Rush Peach. Oh, I bet that's a Sugar Rush Peach. That looks like it. Okay. So, if you're new here, this pepper bed got dug up by something that was going after the eggs that I stupidly planted in there with it. I figured, hey, we do it with the tomatoes, and it was fine with the tomatoes. Only a couple of the tomatoes got dug up. But then all this bed got dug up completely. I think each plant was replanted at least 2 times, probably 3 times, but the whole bed itself was dug up like 5 separate occasions, and I had to replant it. I didn't think I'd get anything. So anything that I get out of this bed is a huge, huge bonus blessing. So that's why I'm super stoked to have literally anything in this bed. The peppers are what, I mean, it's hard to pick between peppers and tomatoes, which ones I'm most excited about. The tomatoes obviously are more versatile, but these ones are just, you know, they're peppers and I like heat, so I like them. I think this one is some kind of a jalapeno. That's my guess on that one. This one's just a little short stubby guy. But this side is more likely to be the sweet peppers because I originally did plant them over here. But that's definitely jalapeno. So I'm pretty stoked. I'm excited to see what we get out of this bed. All of it is just bonus as far as I'm concerned. But yeah. And then over here is our paste tomatoes. Those ones at the end, there's like 3, I think, on each side. Those ones are just, they're jungle plants. Like, they just get to do whatever they wish. And that's because we didn't have a trellis here. And then it got to a certain point, and my husband was just like, let's see what happens. So as long as they remain overall disease-free, they will continue to have a home here. So, and then once they start to get too disease-ridden, we will pull them. So, but I mean, even the paste tomatoes, they were slow to start. They were really, really slow to start, but they're definitely starting to come alive. We got lots and lots of fruit. I'm sure it's nothing like you would have in the South, but we don't live in the South. We live in Washington, so we're happy to get a Washington harvest of tomatoes. Especially because we don't have any kind of high tunnel or anything like that. This one is Amish paste. I don't know, Amish paste came in a circle. I don't think these are actually Amish paste. Oh, maybe they just turn into it. That looks like an ox heart. Amish paste. I guess I'm wrong, because I don't know much anyway, so I don't mind admitting I'm wrong. There we go. That one's definitely cat-faced. Yeah. If you guys have any tips on cat-facing, or if I'm just, you know, something I gotta deal with, let me know. Okay. And then we got the other side here. These are a bunch more. I mean, I'm giddy. Like, I feel like a kid in a candy store with all of this abundance. Oh my gosh. I mean, just look. They're everywhere. They're way overgrown the trellis. Like, they're like 1.5 feet above the trellis, some of them. So, oh, gotta watch my step here. Look at these. They're so beautiful. My goodness. We're gonna have some tomato canning coming up. Holy smokes. And so this side too, there's a bunch of them. It's definitely starting to get something here. And you go through and prune it a bit, even if it is a jungle plant. this here. Look at this. Just look at this. My gosh. So all the ones that I planted secondary are definitely like exploded. Holy crap. I'm just so excited. So up here, this whole top row is butternut squash, a mixture of Waltham. I have a Baker's Creek and an Am I Gardener version of Waltham. And there's also an orange butternut. So, and there's fruit set on here. Let me see if I can find him. I was in here yesterday with my son. He just got back from a 2-week trip to visit family in Hawaii. And I was showing him the garden, pretending he cared, which was very sweet of him. Well, he didn't pretend he cared. I pretended he cared. He just humored me. Showed him the garden. And so you can see there's a bunch of fruit here set. So I'm pretty stoked. And then, so you can see it's just, wow, there's vining everywhere. There's only certain places in here I can even step anymore safely. But these are all, oh, I need to get that gray zucchini. I don't know if you can see them in there, but there's a couple, I think Rondenice, I don't know. It's like just a fat gray squash zucchini. It's like a circle. You can see in here, we got the crookneck. Over here, we got the black beauty. There's a yellow squash here too. And, oh, you can see can you see them? There's the crooknecks right there. And then we got this gray zucchini plant, or not gray, what is it? Zucchino rampicante. Is that right? I think that's right. Whatever. Anyways, it's getting ready to need to get pulled. Like, just it was fine 2 days ago, and then when I checked it last night, you could see it was getting all these shriveled up things. But it was after dark, and I wasn't going to be out here pruning at night. So, that's on the agenda for today. This is a volunteer. This whole thing here is a volunteer. I want to say it looks like a Cinderella. Could totally be wrong. And then there's another volunteer here. There's another plant, but there's another volunteer plant that looks like a kabocha. There we go. We got big old squash. So, but yeah, I think this one is getting ready to be pulled because it's starting to go downhill, and I don't want the disease to spread. But this is just a giant land of amazing abundance. I'm so excited. I don't know how much I'll be able to show you from inside, but I'm going to try. So, oh, one thing that I found yesterday that I was super stoked about. I'm going to show you here real quick. I don't know if you can you see it? Can you see it yet? There's 2 of them. We got 2 Be It Alphas. One there and one there. So exciting. And then we got a bunch more like fruit set on a bunch of our zucchini plants. This one came back to life. I thought it was dead. That one I think is pretty much dead. This one looks like it's starting to try and make a comeback. I'll let it do its thing for a little bit before I pull it. And then we have all these. Okay. Another thing that I have learned, but this year I could not have avoided it because I simply didn't have this when I planted all of these. So next year I'm going to plant this tunnel before, or at very least at the same time as I plant these. So by the time they get so big and overgrown, I mean, we're talking this thing is 3 feet up the trellis probably. So by the time it gets that large, and these little guys, that way is south, so they're getting a little bit shaded out. They're not doing quite as good as this side of the trellis, but my plan to overcome that, okay, I don't know if it's gonna work, but this side of the trellis, which is the north side that's getting a little bit more sun, is going up the trellis. Like, I'm training it to grow up the trellis right away, but this side, let's see if I can find an obvious spot. Like, you can kind of see, I'm just letting it kind of sprawl out a little bit. I'm not training it up the trellis until it gets large enough to overcome the squash. Hopefully that works. Look at that Hubbard. Oh my gosh, that thing's got to be 20 pounds. Wow. But yeah, you can see, I mean, there's just a ton of growth in here. I'm so excited, so stoked. There's one right in there. I can't quite get to it, but that thing's got to be 40 pounds. It is a jumbo pink banana squash, and there's a ton of them. You can see the right there. There's a big one up there. There's a second big one, but it's not quite as big as the one over. Let me try and find it on camera here. Where are you? I think it's right there. Anyways, whatever. It's there, I promise. It's huge. But you can see there's just a ton in here. There's so many. I'm so amazed at how much is growing in this area. I'm so excited. I mean, for anybody that was here with me last year, like, I'm sure you can probably have a good understanding of how excited I am about this year's garden, because last year was such an abysmal failure. And this year, I got spiders all over myself. Last thing on the agenda, I promise. Zinnias. They're finally starting to get of a decent size. Not all of them. But, you know, they're starting to get a little bigger. They were all like this. But some of them, and they're getting bushy. Look how bushy that one is. It's little, but it's bushy. And then nasturtiums along the back. I got some beans, a couple of sunflowers. My favorite one is the sunflower, and I got hardly any of them actually sprouting. So, we got marigolds growing here. Big, beautiful marigolds. Our tomatoes are growing. You can see there's some on those. Can you see? Oh, shucks, I just broke one. Darn it. There we go. Tomatoes, marigolds. These are the ones I planted up here, I want to say last week. This one fell down. I need to trellis it up. And then these ones are finally growing. These are Gloriosa Daisies. These have been taking forever. And they're so beautiful. Oh my gosh. And the Gaillardia. 2 different types of Gaillardia. They're beautiful. Nasturtiums along the back. Oh, look at those. Those are so pretty. And then calendula. Some more tomatoes, more calendulas, various different types of calendulas. I love the variety of the calendulas that I have. They're just so beautiful. And then these are straw flowers. I love straw flowers. They bring me so much joy. I love them. They're like straw. It's crazy. And then these are calendula. Look at that. So beautiful. More straw flowers. This one's really starting to do its thing. And more nasturtiums in the back there. This one's going to be a really dark, beautiful one. These ones, I love these. These are nigellas. These ones, once they actually set fruit, right? Or once they do their flower, they're going to flower, and then they're going to go and turn into a seed pod. Kind of like with the poppies. But the seed pod is just exquisitely beautiful. And it's just amazing to see. So I'm really excited. And we have these are the Zulu Daisies. I love these things. I'm going to come through here and harvest a bunch of the seed heads just to make sure that I have enough for next year. I don't have to worry about it. But I'm going to let these things reseed. They're all going to be, whatever they are now, is what they'll be indefinitely for the most part. But I want to make sure that I have enough seed to save and to plant in other areas. And here's more calendula. These ones have been blooming for a while, so they're starting to kind of wind down just a little bit. I need to come through and deadhead. I'll do that probably tomorrow. And then bachelor button, blue and pink. So that's pretty much it for the garden tour. You know, things are just going great. Everything's exploding with growth, and I'm just so thankful and so happy and just feeling so blessed. So I wanted to share that with you. This week and last week have really just brought so much growth to the garden, and so many things are just popping. It's so beautiful, as you can see, and I'm so excited. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you found inspiration, and I hope that it brought you as much joy as it does for me. I hope that you, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. I hope that you like this video if you do, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.